And on behalf of the Berea City School District, we welcome and thank each of you for your presence tonight at the 2019 Alumni and Staff Distinguished Hall of Fame. The induction ceremony will begin shortly. We'd like to recognize our board members that are here with us this evening. Mrs. Corey Ferris, Mr. Steve Dockman, Dr. Neil Postal, and our board president, Mrs. Anna Chapman, who has a few words this evening.
Welcome and thank you all for coming this evening. We're delighted to have you here to participate and share in the induction of 8 outstanding members of our Berea City School District family into the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
Our district works to live up to our motto every day, a community of excellence, integrity, and purpose. Our vision speaks to our district being a diverse community dedicated to inspiring lives of character, learning, leadership, and service. The people being honored tonight demonstrate these qualities well and have continued to make their alma maters and district proud long after they have left the halls of our schools. Thank you to Jenny, Mark, Nicole, David, Robert, Cyril, Len, and Jonathan for being excellent examples for our students and community of what hard work, passion, and dedication in their careers and in service to others can accomplish. I hope everyone enjoys their dinner and the time spent together this evening. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mrs. Chapman, for your kind and generous words. At this time, I'd like to please call one of our inductees to the podium, Reverend Jonathan Schaeffer from Grace Church of Middleburg Heights, who will give tonight's invocation.
I just want to say on behalf of the 8 of us inductees before I pray, there's been a tremendous amount of work that's gone into this on the part of administration and many involved with the Berea City Schools, and we are really grateful and humble. Thank you for all that you've done to make this evening special. Let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, we thank you today for those who have invested in our lives. We thank you for parents and for teachers and for coaches and administrators and school counselors and so many others that we can name. And Lord, we all look at those who have built into us, and we do so with gratitude. Thank you for the ways that they have reflected you to us. Lord, we know that every good and perfect gift comes from you. And we thank you for the food that we're about to eat. Thank you for conversations we'll have around our table. Thank you for the hands that have prepared this food. And we pray that this evening, as various ones are honored, that we just would say every gift comes from you, and so the honor really goes back to you. We're grateful to be here this evening with friends and family. Be honored among us, we pray. In your Son's name, amen. Thank you.
Through the years, whether it was classmates, former staff members, former alumni or other alumni, it has always been a tremendous inspiration for me, for our students, and for the community of Berea Mid-Park High School to welcome back such distinguished, accomplished individuals, staff and alumni alike. It really lends itself for a tremendous experience for our students. That luncheon where our student presenters have an opportunity to sit with someone in the career field of their interest that has become accomplished and realized successes is truly making a difference in the lives of those individuals. Really an opportunity for them to be inspired to such same greatness. And we thank each of our inductees and honorees for spending that time with them, and then sharing with our student body, or at least a portion of our student body, back at the school after lunch. It It was a wonderful experience. You are in for a treat tonight as you hear the stories of each of the individuals. For us as staff members and fellow alumni, it is truly an inspiration and a grateful appreciation to have you with us. So for all our inductees and honorees, we thank you, we congratulate you. Speaking of our student presenters, I ask them to come forward, please, right now to join me in leading the Pledge of Allegiance before we begin the presentation of each of our inductees. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Presenters, have a seat. We'll be with you shortly. We'll be calling each of you up by name. But before we do that, I would like to introduce our school superintendent, Mr. Shepherd, to share a few words with us this evening.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for coming. This begins the celebration time of our school year. This is a wonderful evening to recognize those that are being inducted into our Hall of Fame. It's a great opportunity for our students to listen, which they did this afternoon at the high school. You know, one of the things that happens when our inductees get a chance to go back and talk to our kids is our kids get to hear some just incredible stories about things that have happened in your lives. And one or two or some of those students will have heard one thing that may have created an interest that they may want to pursue as they look towards maybe their college years or their career. I would like to say on behalf of the school district that we are inspired by those that are being recognized. We're honored and proud. Actually, when I read through the program, which you guys all have, I kind of think, man, I don't know what I did. I didn't do any of that stuff, right? But we really appreciate everything that you have done and your willingness to be with us this evening. We have people that have traveled pretty far because they're proud of being graduates of our school district and their high school. So congratulations and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. We shall begin the induction ceremony. Each honoree will be introduced by a student presenter, after which we ask the honoree to come up and receive his or her plaque along with a proclamation presented from State Representative Patton. The presenter then with their plaque will be standing here in the front of the podium so our photographer can capture the moment. Then the inductee will have a few minutes to share some thoughts, after which I will then introduce the next student presenter. Now the order is not exactly as it is in the program. We mixed it up a little bit just to keep it exciting so you don't know who's next. That's really more so for the students than anyone else because the presenters will know at that point. Or I should say the inductees will know. But they're fine. We have some of our most outstanding students with us this evening. They are exemplary of the student body at Berea Mid-Park High School. So what you will see tonight is the student that we have at Berea Mid-Park High School. We are grateful to the community. We are grateful to the alumni associations. We are grateful to all of the families, participants here this evening for their continued support of our schools. Thank you. Our first student presenter is Tenzin Lucas, a senior at Berea Mid-Park High School. Tenzin, come on up. He is a peer mediator, a link crew leader. And the link crew, you'll hear some of these same groups as we go through the night. I'll just give you a brief explanation. The link crew is that group of students, upperclassmen, that welcome and orient the new students coming in as 9th graders. And this year it was with both 9th and 10th graders, welcoming them into the high school building. He's involved in symphonic and show choirs, National Honor Society, and the Gay Straight Alliance. Tenzin.
Good afternoon. I'm Tenzin, and I will be presenting Mark Calvey. So, Mark Calvey graduated from Berea High School in the year 1982, and at his time at the high school, he was involved in a lot. One of the ones that stuck out to me was being involved in yearbook club, which I had the pleasure of showing him around the high school and reminiscing about that. He also worked in the library, both at Brook Park and as well as being in the high school working in the library. And it was through working at the library that he felt a passion to go to Kent State to learn more about being a librarian. And as he so described it to me, at Kent he caught the journalism bug and decided from that point on that he would like to pursue journalism. So he worked a lot with the Akron Beacon Journal-News, and eventually he made his way to San Francisco to be part of the Business Times there in San Francisco. And he traveled far and wide. And as a matter of fact, he just came back from Barcelona just a few days ago. And through working as a journalism, it opened many doors for him, for both traveling with companies that he's working with, interviewing, and as well as just in his personal time. He met very prominent figures, both in the business community and outside of the business community, during his time interviewing. I think a prominent member that we had the pleasure of talking about was discussing his interview with Bill Clinton and how amazing that must be. And we talked a little bit about startup companies and the life that is what's like in San Francisco. And it's such a unique experience to be able to witness and interview startup companies and companies that haven't quite made it yet and helping them push their way to get more well-known and just interviewing everything in the business world. He said to me, you know, a company makes it big when his mom in Brook Park uses them. So he shared a funny story with me from him being reported some funny stories about chasing down businessmen for an interview or even putting his foot in an elevator to get a last word, a few questions in, which I find to be quite funny. So innovation has always been a part of who Mark is, and I think that really shines in his character. I think a really good example of this is while he was at high school, he was telling me about how he had a printing press and how he would take the printing press and he would make cards with them and other various things that he would then share with his student body, and just being able to think outside the box and being creative and innovative, as well as knowing what has to come first in both his career and his life, prioritizing things. So he discovered his love of business at Berea High School. He was telling me about how in his geography class, his teacher did a really good job of explaining the world to him and how exciting the world seemed. And that sparked his interest in business as well as in reporting. I think another tidbit that I found really interesting was when he was a child and he told me that he would collect box tops and you can sell the box tops for $, and that he got around $700 just by selling off box tops, and that's like his entry into business.
I'm Mark Calvey, and I graduated from Berea High School in 1982, senior reporter at the San Francisco Business Times. If you don't hear opportunity knocking, open the door and go chase it down. Look for it wherever you can find it and take advantage of opportunities that you might be able to create for yourself. Earlier today, I shared how at the Atlanta Constitution, when I was an intern there as a business reporter, and the Business News Wire editor had resigned suddenly, and I said, hey, I think I can do that job, and managed to get myself promoted to that role just by sitting there observing and stepping in where there was an opportunity. There were several school experiences that led to my successes. One of the popular classes I was involved in was Amtrad, which combined social studies and English to look at trends and how maybe a trend is seen through movies, books, literature, and I feel like I've turned that class into a career in journalism because that's often what I'm doing. What trends occurring? How can it be seen? Where is it evident? And so that was a very useful course because you have to connect dots and see how things are coming together. I took advantage of a lot of opportunities. It'd be easier to say what opportunities at high school did I not take advantage of. But I volunteered at the school library, which was an opportunity to meet a lot of people, get an understanding of broader courses. So as I helped students, and we were, it was a good experience that way. Plus, I was so in love with working at the library after being hired as a page at the Brook Park Public Library. So it kind of all came together. And then one day as I was volunteering, the librarian's assistant pulled me aside and said, "You've got to prepare for college." And I had never thought of going to college. And it was pivotal that she said at that time, "You can go to college, you can apply." And so that immediately shifted my focus and my aspirations, and was very pivotal. Experiences in my career that have helped me achieve my dreams are the opportunities to meet new people, whether it's an entrepreneur starting a company, the President Clinton when he was in office, the opportunity to talk with these people, or even Gloria Steinem as she toured the stock exchange floor. It's been wonderful experiences to talk with them, learn from them, hear their experiences, and be able to share with my readers some of their perspective and wisdom that they've learned over the years. And that's contributed, I think, greatly to me achieving my dreams. In terms of finding my passion, I feel like my passion found me. I was going to become a librarian, so Kent State with their Master of Library Science program was a natural choice. And so when I went there and initially was studying business, I got bit by the journalism bug. And I felt like that was my passion, my calling, the opportunity to report on things, have a voice, help change policy or direction. And so I really found journalism so engaging that I combined it into business journalism, which was really taking off in the 80s as its own profession. And I feel like I've been able to ride that to heights greater than I expected, because if you bring enthusiasm and interest and passion to the job, great things can happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of Berea High School and Midpark High School to Mr. Calvey, a distinguished alumnus, to be officially inducted into the Berea Midpark Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do have to say, after spending much of the day with Tenzin, I've never been more confident about the caliber of students coming through Berea City Schools today. So thank you very much, Tenzin, for that fine introduction. Shortly before my father died, a couple of years ago, and I know he's here with us in spirit tonight, me and the family were reminiscing about us moving to Brook Park in the early 70s. I'm the oldest, and no doubt have the greatest appreciation of that move, because I said, well, I felt like moving to Brook Park was like arriving in paradise. That may not be normally what you think of when you see the city today dealing with its economic issues and the like. And yet, what's often ignored still exists today that existed in the 70s. Strong schools with passionate teachers that care about students, and I resonated with many of them over the years, have great memories of many. I'm going to do a shout out shortly. Good neighborhoods. I'm surprised how many people that I grew up with in the 70s are still there, or their children are still in the neighborhood, which I think is a sign of a very strong community, and I'm pleased about that. But there's also other important factors of success, and that includes strong parents. My mother, Linda Calvey, in the audience today, my father, Michael Calvey, in spirit. They developed a very strong work ethic in me and a high sense of motivation. Their goal was me to graduate. So that was the bar, but it was a goal. We were focused. And I want to give a shout out to some of the teachers over the years. I'm thinking of Charles Brigley, the geography teacher. It was an exciting course every day to go in for geography, learn something new, be able to risk maybe an answer that wasn't right on target, but not being reprimanded for having the wrong answer. There was a lot of openness and creativity to the classroom. And then I have to also recognize, I believe it's now the late Virginia Finnemore. I don't know what her title was in the library, but she ran the library. So she was wonderful. I volunteered with her at the start of every school day as kids were returning books and the like. And then one day she pulled me aside, I think it was in the early 11th grade. She goes, "You need to go to college. If you want to be a librarian, you've got to go to college." And my memory is of like, yes, I do, yes, I will. I was literally learning welding and other industrial arts, looking for that graduation day to make it to the end of my years at Berea High School. But that shifted my focus. Oh, there's more beyond Berea High School, and she was very pivotal at that time. And I thank her for that because, of course, getting to Kent State opened up my eyes to a much broader world, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. And then I also want to do a shout out to the Brook Park Public Library for them to have the courage, the wisdom to hire me as a page, which I almost feel was a life-changing event. I remember the day my mom ran over to Ford Junior High School. I was wrapping up my 9th grade there. She goes, "Mark, good news, you've been hired at the library." It was such a celebratory moment. So that was also very an important turning point in my life. I felt like I thrived at Berea High School. They were some of the best years of my life. Not my best years, because I think always you want to have better years ahead. But they were some of the best. I really enjoyed my high school year experiences. But in my one letter of recommendation for college, one of my teachers, who I still think highly of, she was a bit too candid in her recommendation. Looking back now, she wrote that I highly recommend his character and moderately recommend his academic capabilities. I was still delighted. I was admitted into the Kent State University Honors College, which was my goal since they have the library program. And I share this letter, or this portion of the letter with you, with the intention of offering you some inspiration that if there's a young person in your life that you might describe in similar fashion, that there's hope for that person, because you might be surprised how far we can go on highly recommended character. Thank you very much.
Our next student presenter is senior Nicole Peterson. Nicole. I apologize. Come on up here. We can do it while you're standing here, even better. Nicole is on our volleyball team. She is also a Link crew leader. She's involved in Pride, which is one of our leadership groups at school, involved in everything from diversity to helping welcome guests to our building, involved in a number of activities, including the Clash of the Titans that's coming up, which is a fun event near the end of the school year, competition amongst the classes, senior class executive board, and a member of SALT, the student athlete leadership team. Nicole.
Good evening. Tonight I have the honor of presenting Miss Jenny Adkins, who graduated from Vincent High School and attended Marshall University. Miss Adkins was an active member of the Berea and Mid-Park PTAs and the Berea Athletic Boosters. She served 24 years as a receptionist at Mid-Park High School and was the athletic department assistant as well. While Miss Adkins spent a lot of time in the Berea City School District, she also spends a lot of time giving back to the community. She coordinated a sandwich-making operation for flood victims in Hocking County, Ohio. She has organized many community volunteer projects, which include knitting hats, scarves, and gloves for the Berea Welfare Department, Heidelberg University, St. Augustine Church, and Hunger Center. Miss Adkins is also the co-founder of the Brian Adkins Memorial Scholarship Fund, which provides a $5,000 scholarship each year to a Berea Mid-Park student. As a senior going into college myself, I know how stressful the financial end of college can be. The students of Berea Mid-Park are so grateful for this opportunity Ms. Adkins' Scholarship Fund provides us to help relieve the burden of college tuitions that many of us will be experiencing. After lunch today, the high school students had the honor to bring the inductees back to Berea Mid-Park High School to speak to some of the students. After hearing the other inductee speeches, Ms. Adkins made the comment to me that she felt her credits were not as strong as the others. However, as you guys can see, Ms. Adkins has a long bio listing her greatest accomplishments while working for the Berea City School District. But one thing that is not on there is how dedicated and how much heart she had for Mid-Park High School. As soon as we walked into the building today, Ms. Adkins had many, and I mean many, teachers warming her with smiles and hugs as they congratulated her on this honor today. While we were sitting on stage, waiting for the students and staff to enter the auditorium, I watched some of the teachers' faces when they saw Ms. Adkins. You would have thought there was a little puppy sitting on the stage from their reactions. Many of these teachers had so much to tell me about her. They told me how she would always make them feel welcome while many times offering advice, and this made her feel a sense of family to the teachers. A comment from Mr. Pison stood out to me today. He said Ms. Adkins was the mom of the school. Ms. Adkins went above and beyond just answering phone calls in the main office. While a visitor or parent entered the office, they were always greeted with Ms. Adkins' smiling face. As a student, I know how intimidating it can be to be called to the office. However, she always made the students feel reassured. She was the go-to for many teachers, from requesting a box of paper clips to finding a janitor for any mishaps that happened in the classroom. Ms. Adkins took on so many more responsibilities than a typical receptionist would be required to perform during any school day. Her commitment to her career is the reason why she was characterized the mom of Mid-Park High School for 24 years.
My name is Jenny Adkins. I did not graduate from Berea Mid-Park, but I worked as a receptionist at when it was formerly Mid-Park High School for 24 years. What advice would you give students now? And I said, be serious about your future and never forget to laugh. The inspiration was to retire a happy and fulfilled person, and the experiences I had with the students and staff. My passion was found on a baseball field by my boss, who hired me at a ball game when we were watching both of our children play. I said, that's not for me. He said, I'm sorry, but you're coming anyhow. That was Mr. Tibbetts at Mid-Park. Didn't know I would love it as much as I ended up doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Miss Jenny Adkins. A distinguished honorary alumna of both Berea and Mid-Park High Schools to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame.
Just reading. Thank you. This is Well, good evening, everyone. First, I'd really like to extend a sincere congratulations to all of tonight's inductees. And those who
I'm going to interrupt, just like I used to do at work all the time. Never let you get anything done.
You did. Now can you hear me? Because I can yell. Those that know me well know I'm rarely at a loss for words, but tonight I find myself searching for the appropriate way to express my surprise, delight, and gratitude in being chosen for the induction into this Hall of Fame. In my years at Mid-Park, I had the pleasure of meeting and working with so many wonderful people, students, parents, staff, and faculty members. I loved all the friendships I made and the opportunities my position afforded me. Even when the challenges of the day might bring something I didn't care for, I can honestly say I look forward to going to work every day. I especially loved my friends that I made and want to acknowledge students Rodney and Jamal. They brought me joy each and every day, and I will always hold a special place for them. I hope I made a difference in their lives. They certainly made one in mine. And I want to acknowledge my loving and supportive family members who are present tonight, along with dear friends and co-workers and bosses. Thanks so much for this great honor.
Our next student presenter is senior Kayla Goodell. If you'll come forward, please, Kayla. Kayla is on our basketball and volleyball teams. She is also involved in Pride, in the RYP group, Realizing Your Potential. She participates in our choir and orchestra, and she's a member of the senior class executive board. Kayla.
I'll have to move this up. I told you earlier today, good things come in small packages, and I still think they do. So today I have the honor of introducing Reverend Jonathan Schaeffer, and I'm going to start with a few of his accolades before I talk about the time that we got to spend together today and the lives that I know he's personally touched. He received his doctorate of ministry from Trinity International University in Chicago. He graduated from Mid-Park High School in 1982 and is the 6th of 9 children who grew up in Middleburg Heights. Reverend Schaeffer has been the senior pastor for 21 years at Grace Church that has an average attendance of 40,000 people, or 4,000. I'm just trying to pad the stats. Grace Church is featured in the book of Breakout Churches, Discover How to Make the Leap, and was also recognized by Outreach Magazine as one of the 100 fastest growing churches in America. Reverend Schaeffer was honored as Alumni of the Year for the Alliance Theological Seminary in New York. He serves as the corporate vice president and chair of the board for the Alliance, which is an association of 2,000 churches in America representing 37 language groups. He also, I think a fun fact that he told me about today was that he made his acting debut in the upcoming Netflix movie, All the Bright Places. So if you have an account, look out for him. Reverend Schaeffer has also traveled to over 30 countries because Grace Church has numerous projects around the world that include a hospital for women and children in Mali, West Africa, and a full support of 3 homes in Thailand and Myanmar that provide a safe place and education training for 100+ children who are at risk for a sex slave trade. During Jonathan's leadership at Grace Church, the family has contributed over $15 million to help people locally and globally. And I had the pleasure of meeting Reverend Jonathan Schaeffer today and having a great conversation with him over lunch. And I know a lot of the people who have been to Grace, and I've personally met the lives that he, I'm sure, has touched. And I think that's a true testament to the kind of person that he is. And obviously meeting him today, I got to see that even further in person. One of my best friends goes to church there. She went on the trip to Thailand, and she said that it changed her, and it was one of the best experiences of her life. So the things that this man does for other people is incredible, and you can just see that spirit about him and meeting him and how kind he is. And I think all of those accolades truly speak, but like I said, I think that the people that I've met speak to you more. Like, they all have high things to say. So
my name is Jonathan Schaeffer, and I graduated from Mid-Park High School in 1982. And my job title, I am the senior pastor at Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. Oh, there's so much advice that could be given. I think a couple things come to mind. One would be adventuresome. Explore opportunities. See what things maybe light a fire in your soul, and take advantage of the many opportunities for clubs and just what the school offers to see what things might be an area that you'll invest your life in. The other thing I would mention is gratitude. I think when I was going through school, I didn't realize the investment that teachers were making in my life and the lives of so many of my classmates, and the preparation that went into them making a class interesting. And so to be able to express to a teacher, to a coach, to an administrator, to your parent, to be able to say, thank you for what you've done for me. And so my wife and I, we have 5 children, and I'll often say, did you thank one of your teachers? Did you thank them for that class? And so those are a couple things that come to mind. Adventuresome spirit and a gratitude for people investing in your life. When I think back to some of my classes, I was really grateful for the opportunity to be in some classes with teachers where they really helped us to think, even if it wasn't going to be something that was my future career, like math or the sciences, or to be able to say, to learn logic, to help to think critically was really key for me. Certainly in my role as a person who speaks a lot, I found that my speech class, my English classes, when I was in speech class, I thought there's no way when I grow up that I'll ever do any kind of speaking in public. But I look back, and being required to have to give a speech was really good for me to stand up in front of my peers, to sort of feel the insecurity or the nervousness, but to be able to grow and have coaching from a teacher. And so when I look back on some of the opportunities academically, that really, I'm so grateful that things that even I didn't know would be of value down the road had more value than I anticipated. I loved athletics, and so I played football, and I remember Coach Tom Standring. He was my position coach, later would become a head coach, and man, we would have these long practices, especially before the school year began in August, and it was hot, and we'd be sweating, and we'd run, and it was just tough. But I think those are the kind of times that you develop character, you build friendships with other people. I also ran track. I wasn't a great athlete, but I was able to just have some friendships and develop the discipline of saying, I want to take care of my body. So those were a couple things athletically. And then I was part of a Bible study that was led by students in Mid-Park High School. And I think to be able to discover my faith on my own and to realize that why was I made? What's the purpose for which I live? How do I want to invest my life? That was something that really, instead of my faith just being my parents or my siblings, to be able to say, what does this mean for me? What kind of a journey am I on? And so that was something. We had 2 mornings a week in Mid-Park High School. And I remember being a part of that with maybe 30 or 40 other students, and that was really significant in my journey. I think that watching other people who are ahead of me in terms of their own life stage, their own experiences, to be able to see their investment, to see their integrity, to see the way that they live, the way that they build into others. I've been inspired by their example. Also reading biographies. I love to read, and so to read about people in history, some who maybe lived and died long before I was born, but to see people, especially when they finished well in life, and to say they were a pace setter, they swam against the stream of culture on areas that needed to be corrected. They stood up for justice or for the rights of other people. Those examples, and some of them being people who were maybe in the schools, some of them in the community, some in my church family, and other people that I just admired from afar, but I thought those examples for me really inspired me to say, I want my life to count in that kind of a way. How did I find my passion? I would say, looking back, that it was when I was in 10th grade that I began to just on my own discover my faith, and to say, wow, I'm loved by Jesus. I can walk as a person who's forgiven. I can begin to discover why I was made. and what are the big questions of life? Like, where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? Those kind of things, those kind of questions, as I began to get answers, really inspired me to say, I can make a difference for other people. And when I see a person who, whether they've been successful in their career, but still have this gnawing emptiness in their soul, maybe they've been through a crisis and they think, I don't know how to even pick up the pieces and move on. And to come alongside or to watch them take steps of growth and to begin to discover who they are at the core and how faith can make a difference in their life, to me, that has been something that just sort of lights a fire in my soul. And so some people would say in my role that sort of like I'm a spiritual advisor. I like to see myself as a coach to help people discover who they were meant to be and to find their purpose in life. And that, to me, I think if I can continue to do that, that'll bring great joy in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of Berea Mid-Park High School to Mr. Jonathan Schaeffer, Reverend Jonathan Schaeffer, a distinguished alumnus to be officially introduced to the Berea Mid-Park High School Alumni Hall of Fame. I didn't want to go grab him.
Well, thank you very much to Kayla. I just agree with some of the other honorees. Just meeting Kayla today and saying, wow, there are some outstanding students here in the Berea City Schools. So I might be one of the few alumni who was really excited that these two schools, Berea and Mid-Park, joined together. Yeah, you can clap, because being one of 9 children, the older 3 Schaeffers went to Berea High School. So I would be on the track at Finney Stadium. My brother ran track. He played for Tom Madsey. And when my parents, after the oldest 3 went to Berea, and my parents said, we're moving a mile away, and now you'll all be going to Mid-Park High School, some of my siblings threatened to run away. They said, so I always felt a bit schizophrenic, and so I graduated from Mid-Park, but when they joined together, I said, this is a great moment. And so to see a number of people here, the Tebbets and the Finnegers, the Purdy's, the Vales, the Wagners, Lindermans, and I think I missed the Buddies, just so grateful for the people and others here built into my life. One of the things, we lived 2 doors away from the Lindermans. Did anybody ever go to the planetarium growing up in the Berea City Schools? Okay. You remember that when you went to the planetarium, it was a fairly stern voice that would tell you, don't look at the sun. And he really, so when we moved 2 doors down and my parents said, Mr. Lindeman has offered to take you to school every morning. I didn't know what that would be like. What I found out, though, he was a terrific man. And I realized that teachers had a life outside of school. And I didn't know that when I was at least a younger person. And so it was a great experience to get to know the Linderman family. Just a few things, experiences that were significant for me. I played football for a couple of years at Mid-Park High School. Tom Standring was my position coach. And I remember these long, it seemed like 12-hour days. I know it was just probably 4 or 5 hours in August, but before the season would begin, and you'd be sweating, and the challenges of just saying, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. But then to accomplish something together with peers, with hard work, and to say the reward at the end. And so to all of you who are coaches and leading clubs and other extracurriculars, that was a significant experience for me. I also was part of a Bible study that was led by students at Mid-Park High School, maybe 40 students. And it was during my 10th grade year that I sort of discovered faith as being personal to me. I grew up in an amazing family. My mom, Elfrida Schaeffer, is here, and the mother of 9 children and 40 grandchildren and 30 great-grandchildren. She's an amazing mother. And so my mom and dad were these people who just lived out a beautiful faith. and my siblings as well. I'm the 6th child. But I realized in 10th grade this had to become personal for me. And to find out that I could have a relationship with Jesus that was personal, that I had a purpose in life, that I was loved and forgiven, and it really propelled me to saying, what difference, God, do you want to make through my life? And that was a significant time for me. It was with peers in Mid-Park High School so it was coaches, it was teachers, it was peers. And then God has a sense of humor, because I was in Miss Skufka's speech class in Mid-Park High School. And I remember the day that was my turn to give a speech, and I felt horribly sick. I wanted to throw up. I told my mother, I said, I do not want to go to school today. And so I went to class, and one thing that would happen to me is whenever I would speak in public, I would feel the red. Anybody have that happen to you? I'd feel the red come up my neck, and my peers called me Fire Engine Schaeffer. And I remember being so mortified. I said, whatever I do in the future, I will never speak in public. That will never be a part. And so today I speak before a few people every Sunday. And it was like I was saying, Jonathan, you're going to have to rely on me for something you didn't think you would ever do. And so I'm grateful for a teacher like Miss Skufka, who is patient with students and who built into our lives. So I'm really grateful today. I'm thankful to see what's happening in Berea City Schools. I'm grateful for Mr. Ruggiero, who graduated a couple years behind me, looks 20 years younger, but we were not too far apart. Mr. Shepard, the current and past faculty, staff, administrators, the board members, student presenters, and I want to say a thanks to my wife, Mary. My wife, Mary, if you just stand up a second, she's been like an amazing companion these last 31 years, and so thank you again, and it's an honor to say that I was a part of Berea City Schools. I have 5 nieces, the Calvey family, who are still in the Berea City Schools, and I just have such fond memories, and glad to still be serving in this community many of our parishioners who are part of the Berea City Schools. So I'm cheering you on. Thank you very much.
Our next honoree will be inducted posthumously by Summer Hussein, a junior at Berea Mid-Park High School. Summer. Summer is also a Pride executive, so a leader within the Pride organization, a Link Crew leader. She's in the National Honor Society, the National Technical Honor Society, and she's a junior class executive board member. Summer.
Hello everyone. Like you said, my name's Summer Hussein. Today I was given the distinct honor of being able to meet the wife of David Donald. Unfortunately, David passed away a few years ago, but not without leaving his mark on the world. He began his success at Berea Mid-Park High School, Berea High School, my bad, and graduated in 1970. Following his graduation, he earned his bachelor's degree and began teaching at Valley Forge High School for 3 years. He continued his work by becoming a reporter for the Savannah Morning News for 12 years, and continues education by earning 2 master's degrees, 1 in poetry and 1 in journalism. Journalism is where David left his biggest mark. He traveled the world, spreading his knowledge to journalists and teaching them what he knew and what he loved. He's been to Brazil, China, South Africa, Italy, South Korea, and even London, teaching all of those what he knew and loved. With journalism, David was able to investigate and write about topics that intrigued him. He is most known for his reports on the financial meltdown in 2008, he cracked the Medicare scandal between the government and medical agencies, and he's also written about the college campus sexual assault scandals. For his achievements, David has won the Philip Meyer Journalism Award 3 times, along with the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Award, also the James K. Button Award. He also won 4 other awards for his achievements in journalism. After talking to Joyce, David's wife, today, I learned that David had a firm belief that you don't just need English to be a journalist, which he was an English teacher. He believed that you needed knowledge in all subjects so you were able to expertly investigate and share knowledge about the topics you were investigating and be able to properly tell them to others. David had a reputation for always being curious. He always asked why and needed to know more. His love of knowledge is what made David unbeatable in trivia. For his wife's knowledge today, I was told that his entire family was against him in trivia, and he still won.
My name is Joyce Donald, and I'm David Donald's wife. David graduated from Berea High School in 1970, and he was an investigative data journalist as well as a journalism teacher. David was a voracious reader, even as a young man before I met him, but throughout his entire life, the man had a book in front of him most of the time. So I would encourage you to keep learning, keep reading, and keep open to new experiences. Well, at the age of 38, David went back to Kent State University and got another master's degree. So he was ever learning, and he decided to go into journalism. So at the age of 40, he started a brand new career in journalism that led him to a fabulous career in journalism. His goal was to seek the truth. And so throughout his learning as well as his professional career, that was his goal, to seek the truth. So he would dig into stories and get the sources and share that then in the stories and the materials that he published. David found his passion by reading. He loved literature and world history and American history. So that is how he found his passion, to keep learning, keep curious, and share that with others.
His story is inspiring and has taught me to stay curious and always learn. I am distinctly honored to have been given this opportunity. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of Berea Mid-Park High School and Mid-Park High School to Joyce Donald, who will be accepting this plaque on her husband's behalf.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Summer, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Joyce Donald, and I'm David's wife. I did not know David in high school. I met him at the age when we were both 30 years old. So I don't really know a lot about his high school years, but I will tell you a story here. Well, first of all, I'm humbled and honored to receive this on David's behalf. He would have been thrilled to be here and accept this. What I will tell you is when David was around 56 or 57 years old, his journalism career was in full blossom. And during these years, I recall David occasionally reflecting on his life. Oh. Oh, here. Okay. Okay. So when his career was in full blossom, he was about 56 or 57 years old. And I remember him just sitting at home, and he'd reflect on his life. And he'd say, honey, can you believe it? Here I am, a boy from Berea, and now I'm working 3 blocks from the White House. David would talk about growing up in Berea, living on Girard Drive and Waterbury Circle. And now, he said, here I am, an award-winning investigative reporter, as well as a world-recognized journalism teacher. As a teacher, David traveled throughout the United States as well as the world, teaching working journalists. He taught everywhere, from Brazil to China to South Africa to Italy and more. But his numerous trips to London were his favorite. David mentored many, many, many reporters. As Summer mentioned, as an investigative journalist, David received numerous awards, but he always said the work was the most important thing. The awards just kind of came afterwards. As David reflected on his life with humility, he did realize that his good fortune was a combination of good schooling, Berea, hard work, persistence, curiosity, and a bit of luck. David was ever learning. One of his favorite quotes was by Thomas Jefferson. It reads, "I cannot live without books." David's love of language and love of learning served him well. David was proud of his Berea roots. I am humbled and honored to receive this award. Thank you so much.
Our next student presenter is a sophomore, Gabriel Gazik. He's a songwriter and performer. Gabriel, come on up. In a local band. He's interested in filmmaking and directing. He is part of our video production program. And he has a future aspiration of being in Hollywood, actor, director, filmmaker. Gabriel.
Good evening. When I was first, presented with this great opportunity, I was told that my speech had a target length of 2.5 minutes. And before I met Nicole, I was kind of concerned that I wouldn't have enough information to put down on my speech. And so I was kind of nervous, I was kind of anxious, but then I met her today at lunch and I noticed how much I had to work with, and I was kind of faced with a different, more difficult situation. I didn't have enough to cut out, and so I was worried for a different purpose. But she is a wife, mother of 3 kids. That is already an achievement on its own. Like, how do you even do that? She runs her own store, the Blue Sheep Boutique. She is a presenter for the Cleveland Cavaliers, 14 seasons and counting. She graduated from Berea High School in 2001 and BW in 2005. Mid Park. I get confused, I'm so sorry. She has worked with fundraisers such as Flashes of Hope, March of Dimes, Project Preemie, and more. She's been featured in ad campaigns for Nike, Mr. Hero, and the Cleveland Auto Show, and many, many more, and been featured in Cleveland Magazine's Most Interesting People 2007.
My name is Nicole Cuglewski Marcellino. I graduated from Mid-Park High School in 2001, and I am a media expert / mom / wife / small business owner and an announcer for the Cleveland Cavaliers. My advice for students right now would be try to challenge yourself, try to get involved in as many things as possible. You're going to have a lot of different things thrown your way, from sports to music to drama to being on the yearbook committee or being a part of student council. Try as many things as you can right now to figure out what it is you love, and then you can pursue that further. For me, I was involved in a lot of different things. I scheduled as many things as I possibly could, from fast pitch softball to basketball to Mid-Park Magic, the show choir, to musical theater, to student council, honor society. I feel like all of those things helped to basically start a little bit of a fire inside of me to say, hey, I really like this, I'm really passionate about this, let's see if I can take it a step further. In terms of opportunities that I took while a student at Mid-Park, basically if a teacher or guidance counselor asked me to do something or spearhead something, I was pretty much the first person to volunteer and raise my hand to say that I was going to do it, even though I knew that there wasn't going to potentially be enough time in the day to do it. I always like to challenge myself, and for me, it was about figuring out how to do something to the best of my ability, and like I said, just try different things. When you're in high school, that's the time to experience all sorts of new things. And I told the high school students this today earlier. I have fallen on my face so many times. I have had so many doors shut in front of me. But I really firmly believe if you find something that you're passionate about, or if you say, I want to be this when I grow up, and you know the people to the left of you are saying there's no way she's going to do that, if you believe in your heart that you're going to be able to do something, say it out loud, do everything you can. There's going to be sweat, there's going to be blood, there's going to be tears, but if you're passionate about it, just believe in yourself, because I really, really feel that you can make it happen. So there are a couple of different experiences in my career. I have had the opportunity to anchor the local news here in Cleveland. I've been a spokesperson for companies locally, nationally, even internationally. One of the things that definitely sticks out in my mind, I was a part of the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers NBA championship winning team. So I was able to get a championship ring, and it felt like a really nice culmination of all the different experiences that kind of led me to that point. So passion is a word that I use almost regularly in my day-to-day life, at home with my husband and my sons. For me, I feel like I'm always evolving, and whatever it is that I say I'm going to do, I have to be passionate about it. So passion is something that I think you're born with, and those different experiences like the ones I talked about when I was in high school, whether it be through show choir or whether it be playing on the softball field, I found it by just saying, I'm gonna try something new. It might be scary, I might not be good at it, I might really be bad at it, but I'm gonna try it. And it was because of trying those different things that I was able to find my passion. And even now, it's funny, people are like, is this what you wanted to be when you were a kid? You know, did you say, I want to be this when I grow up? I'm still figuring out what I want to be when I grow up, because I'm still finding things around me that I'm passionate about, that I want to try and explore and do.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Mid-Park High School on Mr. Wow, what is up with me tonight? Mrs. Nicole Marcellino into the Berea Mid-Park High School Alumni Hall of Fame.
Gabe, thank you so much. I'm used to holding the mic, so I'm going to take the mic off the stand. It really is an honor and a privilege to be standing in front of all of you guys this evening. When I received the phone call a couple months ago, obviously an overwhelming sense of gratitude came over me, but I also got pretty emotional. This is like a big deal, you guys. My years at Mid-Park were truly some of the most exciting and formative of my entire life. It was a place for me to discover, to learn, to explore, and to challenge myself. As a student, and my husband and mom can attest that I'm the same way today, I managed to overschedule myself. Anything I could sign up for, I was gonna put my name first on that list, from playing fast-pitch softball, to basketball, to being a member of Mid-Park Magic and the National Honor Society and the yearbook editor. I learned, and I owe a lot of this to my parents and to my teachers, that whatever it was that I wanted to do in life, as crazy as it sounded, like be on a crazy game show, if I put my heart into it, my soul, my sweat, my passion, and passion is something that is so important to me, and I try to instill that in my sons as well. And sometimes my tears, because I can be an emotional person, I could and I would make it happen. And that was something that I spoke to the juniors today at Berea Mid-Park High School, and I told them the same thing holds true for them, and honestly the same thing holds true for you guys too. Like, here we are, we see our lives where we stand right now, walking in this room, talking with teachers and my guidance counselor. It's like a trip down memory lane, but we can all pursue and achieve those dreams. Like, it's never too late, you guys. When I had my doubts, because I'm a real person, yes, I'm happy and bubbly and I'm cheery, but I'm a real person, and doors have shut in my face, and I've fallen flat on my face, and people have told me no more times than I can count. It was my teachers, some of whom are in this room, Mr. Wagner, Mr. Reinhardt, if I'm missing you, Ms. Robson, my guidance counselor, Ms. Rubensall, my family and my friends,
who really did make me believe that anything was, and as cliche as it sounds, to this day, it still is possible. I have had some very unique opportunities on the local, the national, and the international stages, and I really believe that a lot of these opportunities were made possible because of my time at Mid-Park High School. In speaking with some of the other inductees today and the students, honestly, in some ways, I just don't feel like I deserve to be standing here in front of you guys. Yet, truthfully, it's the same people who feel I do, some of the people that I've mentioned, some of the people that I've had the honor of speaking with today, that have shaped me into the wife, the mother, the broadcaster, the small business owner, the mentor, and the person that I am today. This by far is one of the greatest honors I have ever received. So to the selection committee, my teachers, my mentors, my coaches, my husband Michael, my mom who's here with me tonight, my dad, sorry, who I'm sure is proud, my brothers, aunts and uncles, gotta stop. I just want to say thank you for always believing in me and for truthfully helping to support my crazy dreams. C.S. Lewis wrote, "You are never too old to set another goal or to dream another dream." And my dad would have said, "This is just another stepping stone." I'm sorry. So with that, I look forward to continuing to be a fine example of my alma mater and a positive representation of this wonderful school district. Thank you.
The next honoree will also be inducted posthumously by Jacob Andrews, a senior at Berea Mid-Park High School. Jacob is in National Honor Society. He is also a Link crew leader, plays on the baseball team, senior class executive board member, and one of the co-leaders of the Storm Student Spirit Group. Jacob.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Andrews, and I am introducing the distinguished staff member of Robert Gruey. Looking through the list of Robert's accolades, I was blown away. Robert's lifelong effort to serve on various boards to ultimately give back to others is something I hope to strive for in my life. With my father being a math teacher in middle school, like Robert was for a part of his career, I have the utmost respect for their ability to balance teaching mathematics with all the hormones in that building. Mr. Gruey taught 22 years at Mid-Park High School, and beyond this, taught at Baldwin Wallace, Cuyahoga Community College, and even spent a year teaching abroad in Scotland.
So my name is Brenda Clark. My dad's name was Bob Gruey, and his job title was head of the math department at Mid-Park High School. He was there from like when it opened. He was there from the time it opened till 1973. Being the math man that he was, I think he would give kids he would advise them to stick with the STEM program, you know, get into the math and sciences, and there's so many jobs available in that technology, science, math area that I think that would be his advice. As a young child, he had a real desire to learn, and his father recognized that, and he sent him to private school way back in, he was born in 1919, so, which was very unusual for that time and for the kind of family he came from. So, and that desire just continued to grow with him. And so I think that in itself, plus he just loved what he learned, he loved to teach other people. He took advantage of the GI Bill. He had been in the Coast Guard, so when he got out of the Coast Guard, he got his master's degree from Columbia University. He took advantage of all of the National Science Foundation grants for summer programs. He did probably 10 of those in my childhood. He was an exchange teacher in Scotland, so he took advantage of that. So those were the things he loved to travel and he loved to learn. His passion was always for learning, so I guess he just, you know, when he started school, he had that, and he just continued to have that passion and that curiosity to learn and to pay it forward and teach.
I would like to invite Robert's daughter, Brenda Clark, and I'm honored to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mr. Robert Gruey to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Hall of Fame.
Good evening. Well, most of you here tonight do not know Bob Gruey or his sense of humor. He would have said, "It's a good thing you didn't choose to recognize me sooner because nobody would have been here. They would have been home waiting to see who the Browns chose for their first pick in the draft." Bob loved school, or should I say he loved learning and teaching. He was born in 1919. He would have been 100 years old this year. To German immigrants who earned their living farming and working as a church custodian. My grandfather recognized early in his life, in my dad's life, that he had a special desire. He wanted to learn everything he could and share that knowledge with others. This led to my grandparents putting my father in a private school, unheard of for a family working just to make ends meet, but they saw the potential in Bob. Their efforts paid off. He graduated from Capital University in education. He got a master's degree from Columbia University in New York City. He was in the Coast Guard during World War II. We spent many summers as he attended the National Science Foundation grant programs all over the country. I know firsthand because he took us with him every summer. We lived in Scotland for a year, and I guess I just assumed that most kids went away in the summers and went to a year away for school. But it was a very special opportunity. And most important to him, he got the opportunity to teach what he had learned. He taught math at Logan, Ohio to begin with, which then led to teaching up here in Cleveland at the Lutheran High School in downtown. That followed by his joining the Berea school system. He taught at Rame Junior High School to start, and then at Mid-Park from the time it opened until 1979. He taught it at Baldwin Wallace and at Tri-C also. And even in his retirement, he went to elder hostels to continue to learn. He went on after his retirement to the Lutheran Church, becoming the finance director for the Church Extension Fund, the organization that's responsible for enabling the growth of the churches through the financing of building congregations. My father would be humbled, honored, and somewhat embarrassed by the recognition tonight. He would say he only did what he loved and got his due reward in seeing the results of his efforts, his students' successes in life. On my father's behalf, I want to say thank you for remembering him with his induction into the Berea Hall of Fame. He lived a life that made a difference. I also want to thank Jim Buddy for nominating him. He spent many years teaching alongside my dad. Thank you very much.
Senior Samantha Matisse will introduce our next inductee. Samantha participates on our soccer, softball, and track teams. She's a Camp Mybrobe counselor and resident counselor, a Link Crew leader, National Honor Society and National Technical Honor Society inductee, and also a member of our Pride organization. Samantha.
Good evening. Today I have the honor of presenting Mr. Mooney. Oh, Mr. Mooney, what should I say about you? Let me tell you. I'm just kidding. Now, even though his name is not spelled like it sounds, anyone that knows Mr. Mooney knows that his name is true. Mr. Mooney has been a great asset to the Berea City School District since 1974 and other schools prior to that. He has impacted many of our lives, and his love for the stars, moon, planets, and the good outdoors. Let us not forget about his favorite songs, and I quote, "Dead Skunk in the Middle of the Road," and "Cows with Guns." Mr. Mooney has done so much for our schools and the students. It is my pleasure to present his accomplishments. Mr. Mooney has been a Camp Mybrobe director since 1992. I personally have had the pleasure not only being his student, but also work by Mr. Mooney's side as a camp counselor for the last 2 years. Mr. Mooney is the heart and soul of Camp Mybrobe. I remember going into 6th grade and enjoying every moment of it. I then later returned as a camp counselor, and I worked by Mr. Mooney's side in making sure the students are safe, learning, and having the greatest time of their lives there. All that happened at camp the years past, from early morning rise by the flag to all the way to the night camp songs, could not have been accomplished without him. I've learned so much from Mr. Mooney. Did you know that lifesavers spark in the dark? I did not until that day. Or behind all those stars in the sky is a story to be told. Or how about Mr. Mooney's favorite planet, Pluto, which is not a planet anymore. I'm so sorry. Speaking of planets, Mr. Mooney has also been the Berea City School District's planetarium director since 1997. If you haven't been to the planetarium yet, I suggest one day you stop by and check it out. Going to school where the planetarium is located, which used to be known as Middleburg Heights Junior High, was a blessing to me. I loved going to the planetarium. Looking at the stars, the planets, and listening to all the stories of the star constellations was the best part of it. Mr. Mooney is full of information, I'm sure beyond Earth's knowledge. If anyone has a question of outer space, Mr. Mooney is the man to see. He has also been a part of our school's faculty from 1974, teaching at Gallagher Elementary, Brookview Elementary, Ford Middle School, and Mid-Park High School till his retirement in 2009. Prior to 1974, he taught at St. Josephat Elementary in 1971 to 1972. His accomplishments don't stop there. In 1971, he graduated from John Carroll University with a Bachelor's of Science in Physics. In 1972 to 1973, he worked as a television engineer in 2 local stations. In 1976 to the present, he's been an Alumni Institute Junior Nature Camp CIT director. In 1980, he received his master's degree from John Carroll University for Education. From 2007 to the present, he worked at the Alumni Institute Mountain Nature Camp as an astronomy instructor and campfire leader. And lastly, from 2017 to present, he was the president of the Cleveland Astronomical Society. Earlier today, Mr. Mooney mentioned to me that at first he wasn't going to accept this award, that it wasn't his thing. My opinion on that was that you're crazy. Okay, you're crazy. You put your heart and soul into everything you do. You changed people's lives, and you changed mine. Before camp, I was scared to leave home. To be honest, I really was. Like, that's so scary as a 6th grader. And I was scared to be a leader. But I have to thank you for that. So thank you. Mr. Mooney has been remembered as that crazy Camp Mybrobe guy who's funny, sings weird songs, and has made an impact on hundreds of students and staff every day. Remember that, Some stars are 600,000 times as bright as our sun, and Mr. Len Mooney will always be one of those stars. I would just like to end with Mr. Mooney's famous line, "God bless you, God bless us all."
My name is Len Mooney. From high school, I graduated before your grandparents were born in 1967. I graduated from college in 71, before your parents were born. Right now, my job title is Camp Mybrobe Director and Planetarium Director. My advice for anybody, student or otherwise, is to dream big, go after your dreams, and pursue them. School experience. I had teachers that inspired me. And they inspired me to go on to college. They inspired me to dream big. And I am forever grateful to those teachers. And my family as well. My family inspired me, and I'm forever grateful to them. You have to be open to, you say, what experiences have affected me? You have to be open to experience. You have to be willing to see things as opportunities and not as obstacles. Whatever it is that you encounter, even bad things can have a silver lining depending on how you react to them. And I try to share those thoughts with students and campers as well. I found my passion, I found what I love to do by keeping an open mind and not closing things out. And then once I did find things that interested me, I learned more and more about them, realizing how good they are and how much they help other people as well as myself. I was fortunate enough to, one of my high school teachers introduced me to John Carroll University, where I went to college. That was a good opportunity that I took advantage of. He was a graduate from there, and he actually took me to visit the school. And then when the teacher opening occurred in the Berea schools, I applied for it and was accepted and took advantage of that. When the Camp Mybrobe director retired in 1992, whether it was luck or whether I was being observant or whatever, I applied for it and was able to become the Camp Mybrobe director. And same thing with the planetarium, just keeping an open mind and keeping my eyes out for opportunities. And I think, part of it was just being the right place at the right time too. That doesn't hurt either. But even if you are at the right place at the right time, you've got to keep an open mind to opportunities. And hopefully I've done that.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mr. Len Mooney, a distinguished honorary alumnus of both Mid-Park and Berea High Schools, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame. Thank you. You're welcome.
Hi, everybody. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you sing a song or anything like that. You know, I made my living being a teacher, being in front of people, but I got to tell you, I'm really, really nervous right now. I don't know if it's showing, but I'm really nervous. So I got this script as a backup here, so, but I won't make you sing a song. I want to say hello and congratulations to all the recipients. I want to thank the selection committee, the Hall of Fame committee. I'd also like to thank my presenter, Sam. Oh my gosh, you almost made me cry there, Sam. You're talking about me? Anyway, if you watch enough TV and follow enough media, social and otherwise, you get a pretty terrible picture of today's youth. Don't believe any of that baloney. Believe me when I say how much faith I have in today's youth, and Sam is a marvelous example of that. And I'm going to just ask you to please allow me a round of applause, not just for Sam, but for all the presenters. So anyway, who's still bitter about this Pluto thing? Anybody? Okay. You gotta get over it. Gotta get over it. Gotta learn to like planets, dogs, and whatever else. And by the way, that bright thing in the south every morning is Jupiter, in case anybody cares. A few years ago, the curriculum department added kindergarten to the groups that visit planetarium. If I had a hat, I would tip my hat to the curriculum department. They've been so supportive of both Camp Microbe and the planetarium. So during one of these kindergarten visits, we were talking about astronauts, rockets, and NASA. One little kindergarten guy raises his hand and says, Mr. Mooney, my father works for NASA. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, I know a few NASA people. What's your father's name? And this kid, just as innocent, just as sincere as could be, looks at me right in the eye and says, my father's name is Daddy. And I'm thinking, stupid me, I should have known that. So now, next time I head over to NASA, I want to be asking around for Daddy. Excuse me, is Daddy in today? I'm not kidding. That's a true story. I don't make these things up. About 30 years ago, I learned an important lesson from my sister. She's a nurse. She and her husband were in the midst of some very rough times. I'll never forget her telling me that she got no joy from the expensive home they lived in, their nice cars, their money. The only time she was happy was when she was being a nurse serving her patients. I think that's pretty profound. And that's a valuable lesson. And I use that lesson regularly when I train counselors for camp, whatever. I think that's quite profound. Then about 10 years ago, you know, I'm a science guy, major in physics, so I'm all about the science, about the data. About 10 years ago, the data came out. And don't ask me how they did this, but they studied people's brain patterns, and it turns out that when they studied brain patterns, it's not money, it's not possessions, and you probably know where this is going. It turns out that serving others most dramatically turns on the happy sensors in the brain. So now science is there to back us up that true happiness comes from serving others. And you know, talk about serving others, we in education get to do that big time. So I'm retired now from full-time, but I still work with the Camp Microbe program, and I still work with the planetarium on a part-time basis. For those of you who don't know, Camp Microbe is a week-long program for 6th graders. They spend a full week there. For many kids, it's their first time away from home. I think all, or not quite all the presenters, but our Camp Microbe counselors are former counselors. We do use high school students as camp counselors. And I can't tell you how proud I am of these high school students. They certainly give me good, and they should give us all, good hope for the future. Here we go again with a little more research. Sorry to keep tossing this science crap out to you guys, but I believe the research. I believe the research. Okay, research has shown that those who spend time outdoors and master the skills we stress at camp are way better off cognitively, physically, and emotionally than those who don't. The research further shows that attaining these skills that we stress at camp, are a better predictor of adult success and a better predictor of adult happiness than traditional IQ scores. And if you're still following this whole train of thought, that's pretty profound. So I get pretty passionate about this stuff. So I think it's very important. Now the planetarium. Let me just take a minute or two about the planetarium. The planetarium connects us with the majesty and vastness of our universe. I love it when the kids ooh and ah and tell me they feel like they're outside under the real sky. And it's a shame that we do spend so little time looking at the real sky and so little time being outdoors in general. Not long ago, during one of the high school visits to the planetarium, I mentioned that the sky we look at when we're in the planetarium, when we're out in the real sky, it's the same sky that our parents looked at. It's the same sky our grandparents, great-grandparents, the ancient people looked at. And all of a sudden, one of the high school kids begins to cry. And I go into my panic mode, wondering what I said to make her cry. She explained to me that her grandfather had recently died, and that my comments brought her close to him once more, in a good way. And she wanted to make it very clear that she went out of her way to make sure I didn't feel bad about making her cry. She wanted me to know that it was a good thing. And that one's right up there with my special memories. I can go on and on about this, but I won't. At this time, I do want to thank and acknowledge my family and friends. You guys mean the world to me, and I mean that. Thanks for being there, and thanks for being here, too. So I love you guys. Thanks. I also would like to acknowledge my education colleagues. And when I talk about education colleagues, yeah, I'm talking about teachers, but I'm also talking about custodians, maintenance, transportation, secretaries, food service, IT, aides, teachers, substitutes, administrators, and all the others. Yeah, teachers are a significant part of the picture, but so are all the others. Imagine running a school, or a camp for that matter, without custodians, secretaries, buses, food service, phones, and aides, including those aides who work with our special needs kids. Again, I could go on and on with this. All of the above are as deserving of this recognition that I am. And I just want to accept this award in their names as well. So thank you very much. Thank you. Drive safely.
Our last presenter for the evening is Senior Callahan Rubensall. Cal, you can step forward, please. Cal is a member of the State of Ohio Attorney General's Teen Ambassador Board. He's Vice President of JSA, Junior State of America, Executive Board Member of the Strongsville GOP, Youth Outreach Specialist for a Strongsville Ward 2 Candidates Election Campaign, and Technical Coordinator for a Strongsville Ward 1 Candidates Election Campaign. Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Ruggiero. Let me say what a great honor it is to speak in front of you today. Now, unfortunately, through the power of deductive reasoning, you can figure out that my inductee is Mayor Cyril Kleem of the city of Berea. Now, I did have a full speech written out, but it was all based on the fact that I didn't want to reveal his identity until the end, because the things that he has done will surprise you. Now, of course you say he's the mayor and he's done political things of that nature, but he's also an artist, and he does other things beyond what some may expect. The city of Berea is the only city in the entire state of Ohio that is constantly taken out from all other cities in the entire country and pointed out by the Veterans Affairs Commission and how well it treats its veterans. The mayor was pivotal in helping veterans throughout the city of Berea. In 2007, when he began his term, or when he was elected rather, he came in thinking that optimism could be the way to go about things. Yet, the housing crisis soon overcame his first administration. Berea is not some slum of a city. He took very good care of the city. And now today we can say that of the three, it definitely does have a very strong cultural base, and the people in the cities of Brook Park and Middleburg Heights constantly are talking about going down to downtown Berea and having a night on the town. He was pivotal in all of this. And while he may be one of the most humble men I've ever come across, and he doesn't want me to say anything of his accolades, I think that it's important that we do recognize him for what he has done. He's going to most likely be elected to his fourth term, God only hopes, because he has done such great work for his community. And I think that while we had Mayor Gary Starr and Mayor Elliott and so many other mayors inducted by the Hall of Fame, I think that he should have been the first. Because of all those other men, the one who has the strongest accolades and the one who has done the most for his community sits right before us today. Mayor Kleem, thank you for all that you have done.
My name is Cyril Kleem. I graduated from Berea High School in 1992, and my job is the mayor of the city of Berea. I would give the advice to students that they should take the advice from those who are in their lives, teachers especially, and their parents. The teachers may be in their lives temporarily, but the advice that they give will stay with them forever. And I think at a young age, sometimes you could discard that advice, but from my experience, that advice is very helpful, and it's a very good guide for life. So I would suggest that they take that advice from their teachers. Well, probably the biggest school experience I had that led to successes was with my teachers. I had a few teachers who took an interest in me and guided me along to what eventually would become a career path in local government. In particular, my government teacher in high school, Jeff King, who also became one of my professors when I went to college and who also was a member of Berea City Council. My encounter with him in high school was one of the main things that led me to the career path that I chose. I think the biggest opportunity I had relates back to Jeff King because when I was doing an internship in grad school at the city of Berea, Jeff was the city council president, and he and Mayor Trupo, who was the mayor at that time, offered me an opportunity to work full-time for the city, and I did not think that's what I was going to do. But I took that opportunity, and I've been there ever since, and 12 years ago became the mayor. The experiences in my career that have inspired me, I think, has been really working with people. What politics really is, government is a service industry, and we're here to serve the people. And so my experiences with people, and people of all backgrounds. I've worked with the owner of the Cleveland Browns, who's a billionaire, to people who are in really bad situations and struggling financially or with other issues. We work with people who have drug addictions, we work with kids, we work with seniors, we work with people who can't afford to pay their bills and are going to lose their homes. So those are the type of situations that I think have led me to focus on working with people and for people. I found my passion probably, I would say, through an evolutionary process, right? I felt the calling to go in the direction of government and public service, but it wasn't obvious as to what that would look like. So I think sometimes in life you find your passion through a slow process of development, and it starts to reveal itself as you move forward step by step. And I know in my case, that's what happened.
And at this time, I would wish to present this plaque on behalf of Berea High School to Mayor Cyril Kleem for being a distinguished alumni to be inducted into the Berea Mid-Park Hall of Fame.
That's very nice. Thank you, man. Very good. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Ken.
Best of luck.
Thank you, Cal. I wasn't expecting all that. Half of it wasn't true, but you did a great job. I gotta say, I think I should hire you. to do some PR stuff for me. You know, I like the other people who spoke today, really have a great admiration for these students who we had a chance of working with today. I spent some time with Cal as well as the other students, really just an inspiration to us, and we look up to all of you, and you have very bright futures. I first would like to thank Lona Gruber, who nominated me. Thank you, Lona. And I'd like to recognize some other folks who are here. I'm the youngest of 8, and we all graduated from Berea High School, and some of my siblings are here. So I'd like to recognize you and my wife, Melissa, our 2 daughters, Sophia and Alondra. Alondra's 3rd grader at Grindstone Elementary, and Sophia freshman at Berea Mid-Park. And so many other people in the room who have been friends and colleagues and supporters over the years. I want to recognize you as well and make sure that you know that you're appreciated. When I look back at my high school career, the thing that I remember the most would be my teachers. They had a great impact on me. Gary Croy is here. Gary was my Amtrad teacher. Loved your class, Mr. Croy. And John Ewell, and one of my art teachers, Mr. Wilhelm, who's just a great teacher. Glenn Hennis, who I think was at Berea High for about 45 years. And we were always amazed because he lived in Millersburg. And he used to drive that every day, 70-some miles. A person who had a big impact on my life was Jeff King, my government teacher. Sally, Jeff's wife, is here today. Jeff passed away some years ago. He is the one who encouraged me to enter into politics. At that time, it wasn't something I was thinking of. So Jeff is primarily responsible for me becoming the mayor. So for those of you who never vote for me, it's Jeff's fault that I'm here. I have a funny Jeff King story, because when I graduated from high school, Jeff was my professor in college because he taught at Walden Wallace. And then when I started working for the city, he was the city council president. So he was kind of always there, helped me get my job with the city of Berea. And the first week, when I was working for the city, I was in my 20s, the mayor hired me, and we had a visitor coming in from Japan. Berea has a sister city program. Our sister city is Ogaki, Japan. And the mayor kind of put me in charge of taking this guy around for a week, and he didn't speak English. And he was staying with Jeff and Sally King. So Jeff told me, pick him up from the airport. Don't mess this up. This is your first week. Take him to a nice restaurant, but make sure it's close because he's going to be tired. So I took him to the 100th Bomb Group. And it wasn't until I sat down, and we sat down at a table, and there was a Time magazine, I think, with a picture of Harry Truman, and I realized I just took a Japanese visitor to a World War II themed restaurant. And I didn't know how to explain that to Mr. King when I got back home. So he scolded me, and I never did it again. Never did that again. But I also, tonight, would like to recognize my parents. My mom passed away 2 years ago, suddenly, and my dad 11 months ago. And they were just a big influence on all of us, as well as had a big impact in this community. So I'd certainly like to recognize them at this time as well. I'd like to leave you today with words from a song. I'm not going to sing it for you, but you could join me if you would like, though. But, I'm going to read it, actually, because I don't have the words memorized. There's a song by Bob Seger. I'm a big Bob Seger fan. And he wrote a song, not one of his more well-known songs. It's called Understanding. And it was written for a movie called Teachers. Now, I've never seen the movie, so I can't recommend it. But the song is about how teachers help us through life and help us understand. And the lyrics mean a lot to me because it makes me reflect upon the great teachers that I had. It seems like only yesterday I didn't have a clue. I stood alone, not knowing where to turn. Now suddenly I look around and everything looks new. I don't know why, but I think I'm starting to learn. They call it understanding, a willingness to grow. I'm finally understanding there's so much I can know. Until the day you came along, I used to just get lost. I only heard the things I wanted to hear. It always seemed like no one cared, but then you took the time. And now I look and everything seems clear. You've got me understanding. You've really helped me see. I'm finally understanding. It's meant so much to me. So thank you. Thank you all.
Well, were we correct in this being a wonderful, wonderful evening? As principal and on a personal level, I want to express how proud we are of our student presenters. Wonderful. And how grateful we are for the distinguished alumni and staff having shared of themselves with our students individually, as well as with the group of students back at school. It is truly an inspirational and motivational moment for our kids, and we are grateful for that. The plaques that you have been presented tonight have also been replicated to be part of a permanent display in our high school, and those of you that were at the high school today saw that. We'll add you to it. The distinguished staff plaques will join the ones currently on display at the board office, or at least they were. I think there's some remodeling being done. We'll find somewhere for them. Before concluding the evening, we would like to recognize and thank the Alumni Association presidents. Ken Meter, will you stand please and be recognized, from Mid-Park High School Alumni Association. And Judith Stahl from the Berea High School Alumni. Oh, Dennis, congratulations. Judith was the former president. I should have checked there. Dennis is not, well, you're still up, Dennis. Don't you worry. Just keep standing there. Because as well, we also want to recognize as well the orchestrators of this wonderful event. Dennis Kushlak, presently of the Berea High School Alumni Association, and Bruce Wagner. If you'll also stand, please, Bruce. They are the grinders behind all this that make this happen, constantly involved with countless hours and effort in realizing this event tonight. As well, there are others that are part of the selection committees and so forth, so if you'll please stand, if you have been part of making tonight, this evening possible, please stand and be recognized as well. Dennis would like to share a few words here on behalf of the Alumni Associations.
My wife will testify. I'm usually not at a loss for words. Or when I'm out with one of my grandchildren, they say, "Who are we going to talk to today, Grandma or Grandpa?" And I say, "I don't know, whatever happens." But this is the commercial. That blue box there on your table contains information on our golf outing and a form for signing up for the Alumni Association. Back there, I've got a copy of the last issue up there, page by page on that board. We are very fortunate to have Linda Kramer put that together for us. If you live in Berea, you're used to the Berean, which she puts together for the mayor's office. But Linda puts that together for us twice a year, does a great job. And I might mention Mariana Paris is the coordinator of the golf outing. Her phone number is the one that'll be on the card that you have there. Besides that, Berea Nice, we are able to get some funds from our golf outing, but we have a great friend in California who married a Berea girl and is like forever in love with her. He sends us a check that helps us provide $12,000 in scholarships, $2,000 apiece. So, and it does it in the memory of Jane Rosbaugh, Old timers here will remember there were Rosbaus everywhere, right? Especially in Middleburg before the I-71 came through and the bean patches disappeared. See, Mary, still talking. I want to congratulate our first millennial. When you got introduced, Nicole, you're the first one, 2001. And she quotes that fella who says you're never too old to dream. God, she's only about 35 herself, so nice job. And I got looking back through there, old Bree and Dorothy McKelvey was one of our first, class of 1920. So we're spanning 1920 through 2001. That's quite a tradition for our school district. A historical perspective. A lot of people have been asking questions like, what are you going to do with the school? You know, when's it going to get torn down? I don't know if anybody's still here yet. It's going to be the 2021 year that the school gets torn down. So we still got a little bit of time. But Bruce Wagner was introduced. Gary Croy, you remember him from Amtrak? Everybody remembers Gary. And myself, I'm just the old Bria guy. We're passionate about saving things, so we're going to try to get some of that stuff over into the new school. And there is a guy who's going to prepare bricks. John Colasvari. So if you see anything about him, he is going to try to collect bricks, and we're going to work with him. For those of you that don't want to go in the rubble yourself and climb a pile of debris. And we also plan, I think we're going to have a last dance probably, and we're going to call it the Wrecking Ball. Won't that be cool? In the bulletin that you got here, the second page, the very last line where it says the qualifications for the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame, there is www.berea.k12.oh.us. Go there if you want to follow what's happening with the new high school and the new elementary school. They got a timeline there. You can watch the guys actually pounding nails and working the site up there every day. There's a little bit of it. And a tour. Take the tour of the new high school. You'll be amazed. It exceeded my expectations. So anyway, hope you can join the association. I think you can join Mid-Parks Association online. If you go to that website, Berea, and then you go to support, you'll see the alumni. We don't have a Berea Mid-Park one. Hopefully one of you guys here, right there, I'm looking at you. You look like a good candidate. We got to form a Berea Mid-Park Alumni Association. Or get in touch with me if you know anybody who's graduated from, our first graduates are out now, I think. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Denny. Before we conclude this evening, I ask all the honorees come forward now for a group picture. Please come forward. We'll applaud you all together. If you'll come forward, please. Bring your plaques. Bring your plaques for the picture. Please, bring your plaques. Thank you all for celebrating with us tonight. Good night and drive safely.
Thanks again. Great evening tonight. It was really fun.